I was watching a video by Rick Beato recently. Rick is a music YouTuber. That's kind of his area of expertise. He's worked in the industry a long time as a musician. He was in a band. He's been an engineer, and he's produced many bands as well, like Need to Breathe, for example. That's a band that he's produced. And he was talking in this video about how his son and his friends were hanging out at his house recently discussing their forthcoming exams. It's getting into exam season right now. And they were talking about the future, colleges, universities, career paths, hopes and dreams, and basically how they were going to make it in life. They asked Rick about his school days and how he got started in life. And Rick said essentially that when he was at school, he was a really bad student. His SAT score was very low. And his guidance teacher had basically told him that he had no chance of college or basically making anything of his life based on what he'd done at school. However, through sheer determination and hard work, he managed to get into college, I think through a music scholarship. He found a way in life. He became successful. And his big piece of advice, therefore, to his son and friends was, if you really want to do something, work hard, be determined, and no matter what anybody says, and no matter how people may discourage you, you can do it if you work hard and if you're determined.
All that matters is that you're determined to do something. And if you really want something bad enough, you can do it. You just got to work hard.
Now, this got me thinking about when I was that age and the struggles that I had to get started in life when I was just taking my first steps out into the world. Around my late teens and early to mid-20s, I had a period where I was really struggling to know the direction to take and how to go about things. And I began thinking, were there any pieces of wisdom or advice that I received just at that right time that kind of set me on the right road and shaped my thinking in the right way, and that I would therefore pass on to the next generation as being a key to success as they now take their exams and take their first steps into the world? And there was, and I can't believe I've never spoken about this before on this channel, because it's wisdom that I've pretty much followed ever since, and that in some way has kind of guided my life, really. See, in my early 20s, I really was struggling. I can't emphasize that enough. And during that time, I would read the Bible voraciously, trying to find advice and wisdom that would help me on my way. And during that time, I came across this verse from Ecclesiastes, which says, "Make sure to stay busy and plant a variety of crops, because you never know which ones will grow. Perhaps they all will." In the current version of the NLT, it says, "Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both." I've been trying to find my teenage Bible all morning so that I can show you my underlining of this verse in the original Bible that I had, but unfortunately I can't find it. I thought it was in the loft. It's not there. I don't know where it is. But for the record, my Bible in those days as a teenager was one of these metal ones. It was an NLT. And the whole passage for context reads, I'm just going to read the whole thing. It says, "Send your grain across the seas, and in time profits will flow back to you. But divide your investment among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead. When clouds are heavy, the rains come down. Whether a tree falls north or south, it stays where it falls. Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. Just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in its mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does all things. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, maybe both." Or make sure to stay busy and plant a variety of crops, because you never know which ones will grow. Maybe they all will. So what it's saying is, the world is full of unpredictable, seemingly random and unknowable things. And God is working out his plans in ways which we simply can't understand. So how do you exceed in life under those circumstances when it's full of unknowable twists and turns and you don't know the future? You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. It just seems so chaotic. How can you possibly succeed? The answer is, begin now, work hard, and diversify your activities. Begin now, work hard, diversify your activities. That's what this Bible passage is saying. See, many people never really get started on what they really want to do in life or feel called to do in life, more importantly, because the conditions for it never seem quite perfect. They're like the farmer who never plants a crop because perfect weather never comes. And they're always worrying about the things that could go wrong, the unpredictable and the unknowable things. And what it does is it brings a kind of inertia to their lives. Most people never begin. They're just inert because it all seems too chaotic and the conditions are never quite right. But the Bible says, begin as early as possible. Plant in the morning is what it says. Begin now. And having done so, then work hard. Keep busy all afternoon, it then says. And this is the key. Diversify your crops because you don't know which ones are going to succeed. Now, if you follow this advice, begin now, work hard and plant a variety of crops, eventually one of them is going to grow and be successful. This is what I learned in my life, that if you follow this advice, it's almost a mathematical certainty that if you plant a variety of crops, eventually one of them mathematically is going to grow and be successful. Walt Disney once said about his success, when you go to bat as many times as I do and continually improve upon your mistakes, you're bound to get a good average. So let's say you're playing baseball. Let's build upon Walt Disney's analogy there. And let's say you step up to bat and you swing at one pitch. You're probably going to miss that pitch, right? Because even the professionals often miss the first pitch. Swing at 10 pitches, however, you're probably still going to miss all of those as well. But if you swing 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, the likelihood slowly begins to rise to almost mathematical certainty that eventually you will catch one. Even if by sheer luck, even if you're a terrible baseball player, mathematically, if you swing enough times and keep learning after each failure, you will eventually catch one. So all you have to do really, like Walt Disney says, is keep going to bat. Be relentless. No matter how many times you fail and swing at fresh air, keep going to bat. Or to use the Bible imagery, plant one crop and it might fail. It probably will fail, especially if it's your first crop. Plant 10 crops, that might fail as well. Maybe one will succeed. Plant 100, 1,000, 10,000, and eventually one of those crops is going to flourish. It just will. Especially if you're learning as you go. Maybe that crop needs a bit more sunlight. That one needs a bit more rain. So all you have to do is just keep planting. Doesn't matter if you fail. Fail 100 times. Just keep planting. Fail 1,000 times. Just keep planting. Winston Churchill once said that success is going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. And that's the key. Just keep going to bat without losing enthusiasm. Keep planting your crops without losing enthusiasm. Learn from your mistakes, try again, and eventually, mathematically, try enough different crops, one is going to succeed. Life, therefore, is largely all about taking risks and being bold, hard work and determination and just unrelenting persistence, and also creativity, trying different things. If you put this into effect, your life is going to succeed. See, when I was starting out in life, this was the crop that I wanted to grow, the Fuel Project. This was the one that I felt called to. However, I also had no confidence or very little confidence that this was the crop that was going to grow. I was lacking in faith. I just thought, why would anyone listen to some guy in Scotland? So I planted various crops. I started a property management company when I was in my early 20s. I did some landscaping. I trained as a journalist. I planted various crops, and thankfully this, the Fuel Project, is the one that grew. But even today, while I'm doing the Fuel Project, I still keep this at the forefront of my mind. Sometimes I'll work really hard on a video, and I'll be working on this video for days or weeks or months and changing little words or sentences to try to communicate as best as I can, something which I feel is really important. And I'll put it out into the world with all hope and expectation. And to all intents and purposes, it fails. It doesn't catch, it doesn't connect, it gets very low views, low engagement on social media. A bit of tumbleweed goes by when I post it on social media. The subscriber count goes down instead of up. It can be tough to absorb all of those failures and to go again, to keep going to bat, and to not listen to that voice of doubt that says you're a failure, nobody cares about any of this, nobody cares what you're saying about this. But my response to that voice is, keep going to bat, keep planting crops, keep working hard, pouring myself into this, making new videos, trying to find new ways to communicate in a way that does connect. Maybe change how I present, or change the background, or change the audio. Try with background music or without background music, the brightness of the light, the thumbnails. Keep learning, but just keep planting crops. And eventually, from time to time, one seed lands in just the right place in someone's heart, and it leads them to Jesus, and it makes it all worthwhile. And it means that it's all been a success in the end. So I hope this concept helps, especially young people starting out in life. If you're doing exams, you're taking your first steps in the world, I hope that this really helps you. But whatever stage of life you're at, this works. And this should be something that we think about. Whatever you want to do, or dream you can do, or feel you can do, begin now, work hard at it. And by that, I mean be utterly relentless despite the waves of failure and discouragement, which inevitably are going to come your way. And also diversify what you're doing so that you can ride out the ups and downs of life, which again are inevitably going to come. If you keep doing this, eventually a crop will grow and you'll hit one over the stand. I hope that's helped.